Congo-Portuguese relations and new interpretation. This is part of what I'm stressing in previous videos. He says some of the copper from Congo may have been purchased from cowries obtained in the Maldives and imported to West and Central Africa since the beginning of the 16th century. In this way, the Portuguese manipulated the money market of the southern hemisphere in much the same way as the Spanish manipulated the silver market of the northern hemisphere. The outcries of later Congo kings against the reduction of their revenue by the flooding of the country with foreign monetary sales resembles in many ways a similar body of literature during 16th century Europe. There's an excerpt from Slavery, Colonialism, and Economic Growth in Dahomey by Patrick Manning. One thing that he points out that African societies actually were taking advantage of opportunities that the presence of Europeans brought, using, adopting new crops, and they were developing. The area that was later the slave coast and other places were developing, and then the slave coast becomes the slave coast with the huge demand in Europe for slaves. And on page 10, the end of the excerpt, says that exports of slaves and prices. Slaves go up even more than prices go up. When prices go up, slave exports go up even more. Showing that it was a financial thing. Wars were for the sake of selling slaves. W.E.B. Du Bois and the Conservation of the Races, page 92. This is between, this abolitionism and colonialism. He talks about Santi and how the Santahini periodically gives traders things to trade and tells them to go make a profit. Now this, I'm really glad I found this. Dahomey and the Slave Trade, Reflections on the Historiography of the Rise of Dahomey by Robin Law. And the brutality of Dahomey, and this makes my point, disturbingly, the protests of abolitionism. In 1850, the King of Dahomey, my people are a military people, male and female. My revenue is the proceeds of the sale of prisoners of war. I cannot send my women to cultivate the soil. It would kill them, all my nation, all our soldiers, and the slave trade feeds them. The importance of imported goods and royal largesse was already clear in the 1720s when Beaufort Lamb noted that the King of Dahomey gives away cowries like dirt and brandy like water. The importance of cowrie sales should especially be stressed. In the second half of the 17th century, it appears that between a third and a half of the value of imports into the slave coast was of cowrie sales. It is somewhat ironic that Pukert points to the existence of a flourishing local exchange economy in Dahomey as part of the argument for downgrading of the significance of overseas trade. But the flourishing local trade, lubricated by a currency of imported cowrie sales, was evidently, in large measure, itself a consequence of the booming Atlantic trade. And the nature of that seems very similar to Asante. Dahomey was a product of its time. Just read the whole article, and I find it interesting. But he does point out that slave exports from the slave coast went down with the rise of Dahomey. So Dahomey takes control of the trade and profits from the trade. It's exporting people who are going to be in the Americas, but Dahomey actually slows it down, and it's a powerful state, so it's able to keep Europeans at bay. And the reason it's military success, but I think the reason for its success was because societies were decaying because of inflation. Cheap cloth and cowrie sales, gold. And Dahomey organized and was able to set up a system that was able to be ahead, and so does Santi. So there's a lot to do with economics.